Today, August 1st, it's time to stop and rank all 8 new releases that I saw in the month of July. My name is Max Dinenberg. Welcome back to a brand new movie ranking video here in Max Talks. We're going to break down all 8 new releases that I saw in the month of July. I didn't get to every single thing, but I think this is actually the majority of the films that came out this month. I'm going to break down my ranking. So if you're new to the channel, please subscribe, ring the bell. I do these types of movie rankings every single month, as well as other movie reviews, TV show reviews, and a box office breakdown show that I'm releasing today as well. So please get notified so you know when that box office video comes out. Please comment down below. What is your ranking? I know I missed a lot of films, and I know on this list that there's going to be people who have some of my films at the top, at the very bottom, and some in the middle, also at the top. So I'd love to hear a very divisive month of movies. So I'd love to know where your ranking is as well. And please like the video, guys. The thumbs up button. That's how you support this channel as well. If you're new or just coming back to the channel for the first time, welcome back. I've already done all 8 of these movies in depth with their own 8 to 12-minute videos. So if you want more in-depth breakdowns of these movies, still not spoilers, but so go to my channel. You'll have a playlist of all my other movie reviews of this year. So I won't go as in deep. This is still all these movies I'll be talking, no spoilers, including Thor: Love and Thunder. So let's just get into it. Starting at number 8 for me this month is a movie I actually just watched last night, the new release on Hulu, Not Okay. This is a movie that I think at the beginning, the actual concept, I was actually thinking maybe this could be one of my favorite movies of the year. But the more it went going on, this is one of the most tonally missed opportunity films of the entire. This is a very tonally all over the place film. The first kind of half an hour is kind of like a comedy cartoon. Then it kind of goes into dark commentary area with it, and then it goes into a full-on drama with the Rowan character being added on. Danny, played by this movie, is carried by the performances. Zoe Dutch is fantastic in the movie as playing one of, if not the most unlikable character in a movie I've seen all year long. Mia Isaac, for me, gives one of the most the strongest performances of the entire year as Rowan. And Dylan O'Brien also adds in, if you're not familiar with this film is about Danny, who's this kind of girl who's struggling. She's a writer, but she just wants to be famous on Instagram and get into this relationship with a super famous person played by Dylan O'Brien. So she says that she's going to go to Paris for this convention, but she actually doesn't want to go, and she photoshops herself on Instagram. She gets a lot of followers, and then out of nowhere, a terrorist thing happens in Paris, and she pretends that she is a survivor of a terrorist attack just to get followers. I think like the Rowan character who is into this mix, she should have had her own movie just about her character. There's good messages involved in here, a good commentary, but it's so on the nose, so heavy with it, heavy-handed, and especially with the main character who's in every single shot of the screen. She's so unlikable. You're just never rooting for her. The movie just can't decide if it wants to end with her kind of having a redemption story or her being a total 100% villain. I mean, the movie was kind of confused on where to leave it. So for me, Not Okay was definitely a disappointment because the concept could have been good, but with this heavy commentary, and I just didn't really love the messages in the movie as well, and I'm not a really good character as well. Going to number 7, so let's go to Hulu, to another streaming service, and that is Netflix. I think this is a film that's like no one talked about. It's Persuasion, starring Dakota Johnson, based on a Jane Austen novel. Henry Golding is in this movie. Richard E. Grant is in this movie. And Dakota Johnson is fantastic. If you've seen my channel before, you know that Cha Cha Real Smooth is my favorite movie of the year. And she's, for me, just one of, if not my favorite actors working today. She's way past 50 Shades days, and she proves that here in Persuasion, where she's also has a British accent. It's a kind of a time period romantic comedy with a lot of fourth wall breaking. Like the whole movie, Dakota Johnson's like looking to the camera, fourth wall breaking. I feel like the biggest problem with this movie is that the actual romance, the whole story, is that Dakota Johnson's character is about to get married to this man who's about to go on the sale, and she kind of just cuts it loose. And 8 years later, they kind of reunite, and she's trying to choose who to love, who to be married with, honestly, for the rest of her life. I think the main duo here of Cosmo Jarvis and Dakota Johnson, they just didn't have great chemistry, which really takes all of the emotion out of the movie, because for some of the 2 main romantic interests they kind of give to you, which is really Cosmo Jarvis and towards the end, Henry Golding. Those are 2 people that I just wasn't rooting for her to be with at the end of the movie. But obviously the movie needs you to believe that one person is obviously the right choice and one person obviously is not the right choice. and Johnson had good chemistry with Golding, but Golding's very much wasted. Is not really in the movie until the last 35 minutes of the movie. So it feels kind of rushed. So while she's very good, I thought the fourth wall breaking took a lot of the emotion out of particular scenes where there was actually a really good scene between Jarvis and Johnson, but it kind of gets broken up because once the scene's over, Johnson tells us what she's thinking. It just takes you really out of it. So for me, Persuasion, again, these are the only two films now in the month, not okay, and Persuasion that I would give a negative review to, not recommend you guys see. So let's get into the average movies now. Starting at number 6 is Paws of Fury, The Legend of Hank. Very disappointing box office, but I wanted to check it out. This is basically Blazing Saddles for kids, as Mel Brooks is in the movie. The writers of Blazing Saddles all have writing credits. Mel Brooks produced it. It's about this dog who wants to be a samurai in a town full of cats. Michael Cera is very good in the movie, voicing Hank. The Hank Samuel Jackson relationship is a lot of fun, and you're obviously rooting for Hank. Hank's one of those more likable animated characters you will probably see all year long. Jaimin Hunso is a lot of fun as well in the movie. And this relationship that I think is my favorite of the movie is Hank with this little girl who's a cat in the town, who's like the only person who kind of wants him to succeed. They have a really nice relationship. I think the big problem with this movie is that it just isn't that funny. This movie is heavy on the jokes, and I would say 90 to 95% just wasn't really funny to me. I would chuckle a couple times. It's very much for kids. There's a lot of toilet jokes. So there's a toilet that's in the movie. You'll see if you know what I mean. You know what I mean. There's also just a lot of just fart jokes, and those things just really pull me out of the movie. And Ricky Gervais's like villain character completely pulled me out of the movie. Every time he was on screen, it's the most mustache twirling villain I've seen in a movie all year. So while the Hank is a very likable character, it's a very easy movie to watch. It's just going to be one of the more forgettable movies I've seen, especially animated, all year long. Number 5 is Minions: The Rise of Gru, which I think is a massive improvement over the previous Minions film, but I still don't think that this film touches the original Despicable Me film. The biggest reason why I think this movie improved over the last one is Gru getting back into the mix, bringing back Steve Carell in a kind of a leading role. It really are. The Minions are still front and center, but Gru gets a big story about the what made him tick about being a villain. And made the movie a lot more entertaining. I actually like the villains of the movie, but they just didn't get like any screen time. So I think they were in the movie more throughout. That would be nice. But there's a big point, as I assume, where Gru kind of gets taken away or gets kidnapped, and that leaves the Minions off on adventures. The Minions have to learn karate. It kind of gets too ridiculous, and the third act is such a ridiculous fest that it kind of just pulls me out of the movie. But I had more fun with this than Minions 1. And I still had fun with this, but I didn't really think, you can know, this is not like a good movie or anything like that. To number 4, let's go back to Netflix with The Gray Man, for the big $200 million budget Russo brothers film with Ryan Gosling, Chris Evans, Ana de Armas, Billy Bob Thornton, Regé-Jean Page. Pretty stacked cast. This film is either being bashed, or I don't think anyone loves this movie, but I'm more positive. But even with positive, this movie is definitely one of the more stupidest films I've seen all year from a plot point of view, especially from the writers of both Infinity War and Endgame teaming back up with the Russo brothers. What keeps this movie afloat are the two lead performances. Gosling continues to prove that he really can be an action lead actor. And Chris Evans as the villain steals every scene of the movie. He kind of chews up the scenery. He's amazing in the movie from start to finish. Kind of a waste of Ana de Armas. Regé-Jean Page was kind of unwatchable in this movie. I know a lot of people like him a lot. For me, he was just completely unwatchable in this movie. This movie goes from action scene to action scene from action scene, and some of the action scenes are actually pretty well shot. The CGI is really bad for a movie that's $200 million budget. And this movie's issues are with the script. There really are no character developments or arcs in the entire movie. They try to give Gosling this relationship with a kid played by Julia Butters that I just didn't felt very forced to give Gosling an arc in the movie. And while Evans is very over the top, the rest of the movie isn't as over the top as Evans is playing it. So when he's very entertaining, but the rest of the movie's kind of playing it dead serious. So I would like a little more tonally together, but I had more fun with it than most people. I don't think this is a good movie, but I thought it was fine. Very watchable action film with watchable lead actors. To number 3 is DC League of Super Pets. I would give DC League of Super Pets and The Gray Man, 3 out of 5 stars. Surprise for DC League. This is not a bad movie. Heading into the movie, I thought it would be one of the worst movies of the year, but it had actually a lot of charm to it and a lot of heart to it. It was actually quite funny, led by The Rock and Kevin Hart, really all-star cast. Kate McKinnon as Lulu was a really great surprise, playing the villain of the movie. And I think this movie feels a lot fresher because it's this. None of these plot points are new, but you add the dog, the animal animated genre to DC. And I really love the relationship between Crypto and his dad, Superman, played by John Krasinski. And Ace is by far the best character of the whole movie. They kind of give him a backstory that was really tugging at the heartstrings and made one of the kids in my theater cry. A lot of heart added to it. And you care about, as I said, it's not really breaking any kind of ground. You see these plot lines in not just animated movies, not just animated movies, but also just superhero films in general. And so it kind of took all the at least tension out of the movie. So it just didn't feel breaking anything ground. It wasn't the greatest movie of all time, but I had a fun enough time in the theater watching DC League of Super Pets. Let's go to number 2, and that is Thor: Love and Thunder. Now, I was really high on this movie when I saw it, positive on the movie. The more I think about it, the more I talk about it, the more I dislike the movie even more. Now, I had dropped my grade from a 4 to a 3.5 out of 5. That could drop to a 3 very soon. I still had tons of fun in the theater. I think it's hard for you, even if you don't like the movie, not to have fun watching this. Hemsworth really has become Thor. Just a lot of great. Christian Bale as Gore was just perfect casting with a great actor added in. Good return to form for Natalie Portman in this franchise. Taika, this is kind of his first misfire audience-wise. I had fun with this movie, but you can also see kind of the story elements. Thor is kind of just a joke in this movie. And I think the first act of this movie is really terrible. And I said that when I saw it. We went from an opening scene of Gore being really serious to Thor fighting with the Guardians to then Jane having cancer. It was just too many different tones going on. Luckily, I feel like the last 30, 45 minutes of the movie really comes together. And you really do care about Thor and Jane together at the end of the day, and also Gore as well. I also thought Gore was at times a missed opportunity. There wasn't a lot of God butchering going on during the movie. And he's called the God Butcher. We don't really see him killing any gods during the movie. So that was a bit of a disappointment. I like Taika. I think this movie at times is a bit too funny. And I think Ragnarok does a much better job balancing the funny and the serious moments compared to this movie. But I still had fun in the theater. But the more I think about it, I think it's very mid MCU for me. And coming in number 1, the only movie that I just loved in the whole month, and that is Nope. Now, I know a lot of people, this is easily his, Jordan Peele's less, the fans haven't come all the way around to this movie. I loved it. It's in my top 3 of the year. It makes you think. And I think the special thing about Peele is that he makes 3 completely different films. Now, this film definitely touches in the horror genre, but it's more of a spectacle, old school Spielberg-like blockbuster film that does have its commentary, but also does its own thing. Keke Palmer is getting a lot of the attention. She deserves it. She's definitely the most entertaining part of the entire movie, but getting very much overshadowed is Daniel Kaluuya, as their siblings the relationship is really great. It's Kaluuya who's way more reserved and quiet, which balances perfectly with a very over-the-top, entertaining Keke Palmer, who they both really feel like brother and sister. Their relationship is great. Stephen Yeun was great. The 2 other actors who play kind of the get some big, I won't say his name, sorry. Brandon Pereira, who I think should be getting a lot of attention after this movie. As this movie makes you think, and it kind of forces you, puts the alien, UFO science genre, kind of flips it on its head and adds a new idea to it. And you really are thinking throughout the entire film. Jordan Peele challenges his audiences, not just with social commentary, but with this plot itself. This is in my opinion, the most gorgeous movie of the entire year. It was shot for IMAX, and being in an IMAX theater, it is jaw-dropping watching a lot of these scenes. You feel the tension. You feel just everything kind of building up. You're laughing. You're serious. The blend of comedy is really great. While I don't think this is a masterpiece like Get Out is, I think this is actually a better movie than Us. Performances are great. It was very entertaining to watch, very scary to watch, very thrilling. And it made me think. It's still making me think about the plot even a week after I saw it. So for me, Nope is easily the number 1 movie I saw in the month of July. So that's my ranking of the July 2022 ranking. A lot of big week here coming up on the channel. It's coming out the same day as this is my box office breakdown show. We'll break down DC League of Super Pets, their big break, and also more talk about Nope. 3 new streaming movies are coming out this weekend as well. One on Hulu, one on Amazon, and one on Apple, which I'll break down as well this weekend, as well as a review of Bullet Train as well coming out later this week. So please subscribe, ring the bell, and I'll see you guys.